And welcome everybody to the craft beer news, there we go, segment of Better on Draft. We record live after our interviews Friday nights. You can join us live Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, which is at Better on Draft, as well as you can join us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Better on Draft. Chat with us live. And even chat with our guests, ask questions if you got questions. We had a great interview with Jack Zatuna over at Zatuna Liquor, who caught us up on the retail side of things, which we have not spoken with him since literally right before COVID hit. So I was excited to hear all about the changes. But folks, before we get into the news, we're going to be doing a giveaway. We did this a few years ago. It's actually been quite a few years. But our former sponsor, 3 Nick Scoreboard, is going to be doing a 4-year Bourbon County Vert. That's right, 2019, 2021, and 22 of the Bourbon County brand stout, the basic stout. You get 4 10-ounce pours. So we're going to be giving away 2 single tickets. So there's going to be 2 winners. Each one gets 1 ticket because it's probably best to be shared with someone, as 40 ounces of barrel-aged beer, not necessarily the best thing to do before driving. But what we love about 3 Nicks, especially this ordeal that they do, is that you get 1 week to show up anytime to turn in your tickets to get your 4 10-ounce pours. That means that from Monday, December 5th, you'll have from December 5th until that Sunday, December, I guess it would be 11th. You can come in anytime that they're open, get your 4 20-ounce pours or 4 10-ounce pours of each year in the vertical and enjoy it. So you don't have to wait in line, you don't have to chase, you don't have to wait for a specific tap takeover or a timing or anything like that. You have 4 days. They're open for lunch, they're open for dinner, they're open late. 7 days to show up to get 4 10-ounce pours of 2019, 2021, and 22 Bourbon County. So stay tuned to Better on Draft on Facebook, and Instagram and Twitter and all of our social medias, as we will be giving it away. Again, we're going to be giving away 2 tickets, 1 ticket each, so 2 winners. With that in mind, let's go over and see what everybody is drinking before we start the craft beer news. At the end of the last show, I finished a Missouri Loves Company alt beer. And I'm going to be going into the Bone Shaker Amber from 2nd Street Brewery over in New Mexico, Santa Fe. And if I get to it, I will be finishing the night off with a Helles from the brewery. Nick, what do you got?
Well, I finished up the Wicked Tropical IPA from Sam Adams. Wonderful. And now I just cracked open from the defunct True Colors, the True Light that they brewed.
And Rob, what do you got over there?
Right now, I'm sipping on S'mores, a Untitled Art S'mores dark brew. If I do finish that one, then I will move on to, obviously, the other Untitled Art chocolate milk dark brew.
And Wendy, what do you got?
Got mute.
Wendy, you're on mute.
You're still on mute.
Hit the wrong button.
There we go.
Anyways, I went on a little road trip today because it's Mad Elf season, and I picked up one of the show favorites, some Yingling Black and Tan. So that is what I am sipping right now.
Perfect. Well, as always, we do our craft beer news segment, a little bit of everything. So we are going to start because I believe Wendy's got a great article with Wendy.
Did I mean it again? So, I remember a few years ago we talked about in Colorado when they were able to start selling beer in grocery stores. I believe that was 2019. And this year they actually passed that they can sell wine in grocery stores as well. I thought it was very interesting because there were 3 liquor-related questions on the ballot for Colorado voters this month, and it was the only one to pass. The Coloradans soundly defeated a measure that would have allowed liquor stores the ability to open unlimited locations and narrowly rejected a proposition that would have opened a door to third-party alcohol delivery sales. I know we've talked about a lot of those same issues here in Michigan. it was interesting because they only passed this measure to sell wine in the grocery stores by 28,000 votes, which is not really a lot when you look at it. So I was just interested in what your guys' thoughts were on it. Why do you think they passed the one and not the other?
I'm looking at the results from the ballot measures. It is razor thin as you probably could make it. Prop 125, that's the one, Wendy, that you're talking about tonight. And then the other one, Prop 126, allowing the delivery, still rather thin margin, but larger compared to this. It's crazy that we are still in 2022 having this conversation about stores selling beer and wine and liquor in stores. Grocery stores, might I add. You go to Kroger, for example, and the first thing you see is the wine shelves, and multiple wine shelves where they have, you buy 4 bottles, you can get for some crazy deal, It's crazy we're still having this conversation in 2022. But why say yes to one and reject the other? It's kind of confusing, in my opinion.
And I was looking at for 121 with the retail locations, like not even a single county had majority yes
on the delivery
on the
multiple locations.
the multiple locations for the delivery. There were a couple counties that was majority yes, but like in total there were 9 counties out of quite a few that had a majority, but it's a very small majority. Like every county that had a majority yes, the highest percentage of one of those counties was 57%. All the other counties were 52, 51, 50.7. It's kind of crazy on that one.
And here's another. This is unrelated to beer and liquor and wine. Still a controlled, and it's a drug, technically, and it's still a drug. If you look at what Prop 122 talks about, I know we don't like talking about politics, but it's interesting. Prop 122 talks about the legalization of psychedelic plants and fungi for adults age 21 or older, and that had more acceptance than the delivery of alcoholic beverages, which again, it's crazy where the mentality kind of sits in certain things, and how we've seen so many of these props get rejected in Colorado. It's an interesting conversation to have if we can get someone from Colorado one of these days.
I mean, we do have a partnership with Porch Drinking, and maybe we might get a follow-up next week as we do interview the owner of the Facebook page Pilsnerish. So maybe during that news segment, we get a little bit of follow-up. For me, on the other hand, like, I understand a lot of people are not anti-alcohol, but maybe anti-ease of alcohol. Maybe there was a good phrasing where people were saying, how easy it would be for kids to get it. Because when you legalize mushrooms, like, those are going to be sold in probably, dispensaries, type of places. They're not going to be sold at the local CVS. So there might be a lot of people in Colorado isn't necessarily for as liberal of their drug theories are. They're not necessarily a very liberal state, a very blue state. When you discuss red and blue, so when you're talking about this, I'm sure there might be a lot of businesses who were against it because it might have hurt them. It might have hurt the control of alcohol and the flow of alcohol within the state. Now, for me, like as a personal aside, like I love how the state is able to make this decision themselves. These people are able to make this decision themselves, and if that's what they want, then who am I to say, damn, like this is your decision. And wine is probably, as wine is easy here in Michigan to distro, deliver, and get to other people fairly easily. That's probably what happened with the laws out in Colorado, and especially because not many people, like, we drank wine as kids because our parents would give us a sip or something like that. But the 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they're not drinking wine. They're drinking Natty Light. They're drinking 5 o'clock. They're drinking non-wine. I mean, I don't know about you guys when you were 18, 19, 20, but I wasn't drinking wine. I'm 36 and I'm not drinking wine.
I'm not a wine drinker. Even though I have bottles here in my wine. Yes, I have a wine bar in my house. I'm not drinking wine. To your point, Ken, I'm glad that it was a decision by the voters, as it should. But it's the results seem very, very confusing, and it's still crazy that we're still having this conversation so many years later in the 21st century. But hey,
I mean, I think it goes back to our previous interview with Jack and how he was saying that all of these states just have so many different rules that as sometimes as screwed up as it always seems with the rules and regulations that are here in Michigan, it's kind of a literal hold my beer. Here's another state that has something that is completely like out of, like, you have no idea why this state would have something. Like, here we are where we can walk into a Kroger, a Meijer, all the other retail stores that we have here, and you see wine on the shelves, and for us that's normal. It's just when
we're talking third-party delivery too, we're not talking about, when Jack was talking about that, he was talking about how, like, people would purchase from, as our guest last week, the brewery, and get it delivered in a week or two. These are people who are looking towards their DoorDash, their Drizzly, their Grubhub, whatever other company does it. And these organizations, unless there was going to be a central location, maybe they were afraid of losing money to your big box stores. We're local here, so we'll just say what's local to Michigan, but your Meijer, your Kroger, your Giant Eagle, I know that's like Ohio, but your Winn-Dixie, your supermarkets, the ones that
Wiggly.
Yeah, the ones that are going to be able to promote and push it, because now they're going to be able to buy everything they want from their Piggly Wiggly and booze.
Piggly Wiggly.
So now the local corner store that was getting your alcohol purchase, now everyone else is going towards the big box, which is why these small stores spent $46 to every $1 against the bill. And that... I mean, the money well spent for sure. I mean, I don't think they're going to see too much of a issue with wine falling off, but booze and like alcohol, spirits, and beer for sure.
Yeah, and I mean with the delivery, and I was looking at one of the articles here where it says that liquor stores, supermarkets, and other retailers are able to deliver. This was just going towards the third-party services. So things like DoorDash and Instacart, basically with them, it seems like the only way they're going to get around it is they're going to have to make their own big box store of some sort, and or maybe I don't know if it was like something crazy where I don't know if there's any Total Wines that are out there, but if Total Wine somehow came up with a shitload of money to buy DoorDash or Instacart, then maybe that would be another loophole themselves where they become part of delivery business.
I just looked up Colorado Total Wine because I was curious even while you were saying it, and they do have Total Wines out there in Colorado, and it does say delivery. Like here in Michigan, you can get Total Wine delivered to you. And that's crazy because they have the full integration, which is kind of what Jack was talking about with their inventory system and their SKU system, that you can order online for delivery, and it's a lot easier, especially for a major chain like that. But go on.
But I have tried to order from Total Wine before, and every time it says they have something, when I go to order it, they don't have it.
Are you ordering like 2012 Bourbon County bottles or something?
Well, no, stuff that they say is on their website, and you place the order, and then they don't have it. They can't deliver it.
I've never ran into that, but I've only ordered delivery from Total Wine twice, and it hasn't been anything crazy, I'll say. Like, nothing.
I think that's the thing. It's like, if it's on the site, then that pretty much as a customer gives you like the confidence that that location is going to have it.
But here's let's I feel like we need Jack back, because Jack said that the consumer is understandable, and at least for Jack it's probably that, because he's built such a rapport with this entire consumer base. But the consumer is understandable when the site doesn't carry it. I mean, did you stop shopping at Total Wine because they didn't have the one bottle that they said they had for a minute?
I haven't gone back just because it's not anywhere near me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't hate Total Wine and tell people not to go there. It's real quick though, before we move on from this story, I do want to mention that there is a line in the story in the Loveland Reporter Herald the story that I found, where the executive director of the Colorado Licensed Beverage Association said that the swing in the polling since September is proof that the voters clearly have doubts about whether giant out-of-state corporations would support Colorado's craft beverage industry like our current independent local liquor stores do. And that is in definite reference to the Proposition 124, with the being able to own as many stores as you want. They don't want a big box to come in and take over when they have local stores that can take care of their needs just as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. I get why they made that decision.
Fair.
That was it. I just want to throw that in there.
All right. Well, Rob, what's your article for today?
I got a couple. I would just want to do a little bit of a follow-up with the whole Budweiser story and them not being able to serve alcohol in any of the stadiums at the World Cup. Just a couple little pieces to follow up with that is that AB InBev is now going to go into a little bit of a battle with FIFA after losing those guarantees of being able to sell beer at the stadiums. And so essentially what they're going to be going after FIFA for is a discount on the deal that they have for 2026, and basically tell FIFA that we've got ourselves a coupon for $47 million. So we're taking that away from the deal. I don't know if that has actually, they're just have that set in stone. But that is what they are planning on doing, is that they're going to say to FIFA that, we're not paying the full 75 million. You're getting barely half that. So enjoy that for 2026.
I would barely give them even half of that. I would give them significantly less. I mean, they are a title sponsor for FIFA, and you basically shut down that whole thing about. I get there's country rules, and then I get all that, but
then FIFA
there was a promise made
yeah.
weeks before, and then 2 days before the world's biggest soccer tournament, they said nope, you're not doing it.
Yeah,
and they even said that they were going to lax the rules for this one time.
There's been a lot of different reports, not only just with the beer, but with other things that have happened at the stadiums about these rules that were supposed to be lax, and fans have been getting the exact opposite.
This is where I wish we had Dan on the show for today, because I feel like he would know the answer to the question that I'm about to ask. But who manages, because this is going to be for sure, if it gets dirty, a third-party lawsuit, where Bud's gonna, if FIFA does not accept this offer from Budweiser, which I feel is a very fine offer, Budweiser is going to sue FIFA, who will in turn either eat the lawsuit or have to sue the country of Qatar.
So good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck.
And who runs that court?
The Hague.
The Hague.
You're right. Dan would know exactly how to answer that.
I feel like
Without
Dan
even
would
looking it up.
Dan would have the exact answer for this, but when you're dealing with ABI InBev, which is what, Belgium, FIFA, where I don't know where FIFA is.
They're based out of Switzerland, I think. I'll tell you in a second.
And you're going into Qatar, which is Middle East. I mean, depending on where they consider that as a continent. I'm not too familiar with where the Middle East lies when it revolves around, West Asia, East Europe, Northern Africa.
So you have a FIFA's based out of Zurich. You have a Middle Eastern country, an American company, essentially. Well, not really American company, but you know where I'm going with.
Yeah, so it's Rob was right. It is Asia. So I mean, I don't even know who manages this court thing.
No clue.
Someone in the chat on our Twitch, which is twitch.com/betterondraft, says Southwest Asia. So it's definitely like I feel like FIFA's just going to take it because I'm sure they got a fuck ton of money from the Saudis already. Not the Saudis, the Qataris.
Most corrupt sports organization in the world.
Yeah,
I'll just leave it like that.
So I feel like if the amount of money they got to host FIFA there, they might just eat the discount, and take it into 2026 because I feel like if Budweiser sues FIFA, I mean, Budweiser's got a lot of money. As much as FIFA's got a lot of money and Qatari's got a lot of money, Budweiser's got a lot of money. And we're only talking millions versus what they deal with on their paperwork, which is billions and trillions. So,
right.
I if I was FIFA, I'd just eat the discount.
I would probably say the same, that they should, but we will see where exactly that goes. But that does lead into the prevailing question to most of the people who are out there who can't have their beer is that where's all this beer going? So Budweiser has now decided that the country that wins the World Cup is getting the beer. So they are going to send unsold World Cup beer to the winning country. I'm just kind of curious, like who really wants to win the World Cup now? Because like who wants all this shit?
The reason why it's one of the top selling beers in the world today.
It's still number one.
Yeah, it's still number one.
It gets drank. I mean, Nick and I went to the Lions game a few weeks ago, and we started off with a nice beer, and then we were just chugging along.
We just downgraded throughout the rest of the
we drank Labatt's on the way. Some guy wanted to get into the stadium, and he gave us a free Oberon. So we started off pretty, good beer. Labatt's not bad. Oberon's good. We drank something good over at the craft beer bar, and then it was like Coors Light and stuff. But I mean,
that's how I do it too.
That's the kind of thing to where there's some country will take it, and I'm more interested in what they'll do fun wise. Like how will they
free
do
beer
it?
Is
like
good beer.
Free the best beer is a free beer. The second best beer is your next beer.
Right. It just shows up with it's just a drop ship. Just
Boston Tea Party it.
I want to know what they're gonna do if it's a country that has a more limiting alcohol laws, though.
Well, I mean, I think so. I think we've already had one big upset in this tournament so far, and that was Saudi Arabia beating Argentina.
Right.
I think that has been the biggest upset so far, and then Iran, which, by the way, the United States has to beat in order to make it to the knockout round, just beat Wales, and they tied England. So there's I would not be surprised if some of the Middle Eastern teams this year make it deep into the knockout stage, especially when they're knocking off Lionel Messi and, his last round of trying to win a World Cup.
Right.
And
I mean, looking at the list of countries that are in, I mean, obviously Iran, the host country Qatar, they're not going any.
they're irrelevant at this point.
They're already irrelevant. So like, I feel like any country that's here on this list, other than what is mentioned, that I don't see any problem of any of them just accepting all of that.
Here's a question. What will the Netherlands accept it if they win? Because the Netherlands actually have a very, very strong team, to my understanding, and I think the Netherlands, the Dutch, probably wouldn't be caught dead with a bunch of Budweiser. In my opinion,
everyone will accept it. I'll put money on that.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they'll accept that.
It'll make for a good YouTube videos of them, reactions to drinking American beer.
Well, get ready for like a national parade, and then they just pallets of Budweiser just appear. People could just go pick up, 2 at a time, double fist it.
Yep, exactly. The last piece that I had, which it goes into, well, it doesn't necessarily go into this, but it was an article I found on the worst beers in the world. This is a list according to Beer Advocate, one of our favorite review sites that, kind of goes one way or the other, sometimes with your favorite beer. But I guess just to list off, just real quick, the top 10 worst beers from 10 to 1. 10 is Bud Light. 9, Keystone Premium. It's premium. 8, Busch Ice. 7, Natural Ice. 6 is Keystone Light. 5, Milwaukee's Best Light. 4 is Miller 64. 3, the original Natural Light. 2 is Sharps. And Sharps.
Is that an NA beer?
I don't know where you can even get Sharps. It is an NA beer. It's 0.4, so that's considered NA. And number 1, Bud Select 55.
Bud Select 55's on there?
That is considered the worst beer in the world according to Beer Advocate. That has an average rating of 1.65.
It just sounds like the person doesn't like light beer.
Right.
It's a lot of light beers. I mean, 11 is Keystone. There's Corona Light at 12. Red Dog's 13. There's Coors Light at 14. Yeah, it's a...
I'll tell you what. I went
Whitewater... 15 is St. Ides. Hold on, I didn't throw that one in there.
St. Ides.
St. Ides.
I went whitewater rafting one time, and because you couldn't drink in West Virginia on the New River, you can't drink on the river. So when they would put us in the bus to take us back after whitewater rafting, they gave us a free beer. And they gave us Keystone Light. And I will tell you what, that was the best tasting beer I'd ever had in my life. Now, I almost died, but that's a whole other story. It was a fantastic beer. It wasn't so good when I tried it later, but
having a beer after whitewater rafting, would that be considered a shower beer?
Well, I wasn't I did get stuck in a rapid, like a washing machine. It was crazy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. They had to pull us out with anyways.
Yeah. Gosh. There's quite a few like going through this list. There's not many that are on here that are not lights. Like 25 at the top of the list is Old Milwaukee. Which, that's just like pretty much every beer that's on this list I would not even mess with. But I guess I was just kind of thinking about what our worst beers were for this year. And like, what are just like some of the bad beers that we've had in 2022?
Geez, I don't even...
Do you really remember the bad ones, though?
No.
If you really... I feel like we will remember the ones that we enjoy rather than the bad ones.
I don't.
That's a good question too. Is whether or not we do we have so much. Like, are there bad ones that we even are they bad enough for us to remember?
I mean, the Ice House, I remember.
Maybe like the 7-year-old 4-elf I had. But is it really a Dark Horse problem or a aging problem?
Oh yeah. The 5-year hop slam that I had last year, I think it was last year. But is that really? Here's
the thing: is that when we were in studio, we tried a lot more beer and a lot more styles, and we were a lot more open because as people would bring us beers, it's like, oh, sure, I'll try, but I'm not going to go out and buy an IPA for the show to try an IPA for the show. Even some of the IPAs and the hazies and like the society beers and the second self beers were so good that I did not have any issues with any of the beers. I can't remember a bad beer I had this year. I mean, I guess I'm blessed. Like, hashtag blessed for sure.
Hashtag.
I've had some bad beers, but I don't like to talk about that because just because a brewery has a beer that I don't like doesn't mean that they're a bad brewery. So I try not to point those out because just because I don't like it doesn't mean somebody else doesn't. Oh, but look at what I got when I was in Ohio today.
Got
it's a lunch.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, we're going to buy that.
Good fun.
Yeah, Marino's always has Maine Beer Co., so I always get that when I'm there. It's been a minute since I've been to Marino's, though. I need to go back.
I found a whole new section of the beer store I normally go to. I was like, look at what I just found.
Yeah, since Jack brought up the whole 2015 infected, it did remind me of the 2015 coffee Bourbon County that was infected that we had on the show. And that was difficult.
I remember,
my barley wine was infected that year.
I remember because they announced the SKUs and like the sales and stuff, like which ones were bad. I tried buying bottles off people and they literally wouldn't sell me them at a discount. I'm like,
remember that.
This beer is going to be so bad and you won't even let me buy it off of you for like $2 a bottle. Like, I know that's a dirt cheap and I know you can get your refund for it. So it's not costing you anything.
Right.
But yeah, I was just like, I was a little upset when that kind of happened because I'm like, come on, let me try it. Let me see what you got over there.
All right, that's all I got.
Nick, what's your article for today?
Mine's maybe a little bit more serious, unlike these fun ones you guys have. This one is about using hop compounds to combat Alzheimer's.
All right.
So starting with some numbers real quick. According to an article on Michigan or on Medical News Today, approximately 6.5 million Americans aged 65 or older currently have Alzheimer's disease, and that's according to the Alzheimer's Association. They believe that by 2050, that number is basically going to almost double in the next 30 years, up to 12.7 million. Obviously, there's different strategies today to kind of combat the condition, such as diet, as well as obviously drugs, for example. But now they are using hop plants and some of the acids and everything inside the hop flower itself to mitigate Alzheimer symptoms. And they started using those in mouse models of the disease. Other research does suggest that the intake of actual bitter hop acids also improve cognitive function, attention, and mood in older adults. They believe that even further study of hop extracts in the pathology of Alzheimer's could also lead to novel treatments and prevention strategies. Dr. Michael Alasko, an associate professor of neurology at Boston University, went on the record saying, quote, "The study is exciting and further supports the power of dietary interventions for the prevention of Alzheimer's. But most importantly, the message should not be that drinking hoppy beer can lead to brain-based benefits or prevent Alzheimer's disease altogether. The benefits of the hops chemicals are likely to be diluted when combined with alcohol and the caloric ingredients found in beer, he highlighted. So he's basically saying not drinking hoppy beer will fix, will make Alzheimer's go away or, mitigate it. But the actual hops themselves, using that and the chemicals in the hops have found to have some kind of therapeutic or even improvement or even prevention of the disease, at least in animals at this point. It's very, very interesting that we're seeing more of this stuff in stuff that's always been either been outlawed by government or just stigmatized. Obviously beers. Not everyone drinks it. Obviously there's the legalization of marijuana here in Michigan. That was always a stigma until it became or at least less stigmatized when it became legal in the state of Michigan, at least. And now we're starting to see that it's not all bad at the end of the day. What are your guys' thoughts on hop plants can potentially not maybe curing Alzheimer's, but preventing it or at least mitigating it, maybe improving quality of life or even quantity of life potentially?
Wendy.
Well, I think it would be amazing. I'm glad to hear that it's not drinking hoppy beer that will make it work, because my grandmother is very adamant that she does not like beer, and she tells me every time I open a beer, which may or may not be often. I think it's amazing, and I'm actually like reading the study. I can't wait to go back and look up more information, because it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they've shown that hops have helped with situations like cancer, different cancers, so it really wouldn't surprise me. I definitely want to look more into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as we kind of were deep in the well into the 21st century, and people kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit to kind of find new ways to combat some of probably the most tragic diseases and conditions. Alzheimer's is tragic. Let's just be real. It's very tragic. It's
the only word to use.
Yep. And, but people thinking outside of the box, our generation, or even the younger folks in the generation before us, kind of going outside of the norm, the cultural norm, maybe, and thinking of different ways to kind of combat this stuff that really hasn't really been dived into all that much. And as everyone knows that I'm an engineer. I'm an electrical engineer. Everyone knows that that's what I do for a living. I have a staff of younger engineers that report up to me, and I tell them you got to think outside the box. You have to start thinking outside the box, because what we've been doing for the last 100 years, yeah, it works, but it's not proven to be effective 100% of the time to at least address some of the things that we do in our industry. So you got to start thinking outside of the box, and I've been challenging my staff to do that. And I've seen people grow leaps and bounds by doing that, and I think we need to keep doing more of that, not just in engineering but in medicine as well. So, Ken?
I mean, I'm 1,000% for alternatives to medicine. I we'll keep it brief, but obviously the opioid crisis hit my family. So when drugs get introduced, especially for things like when I threw out my back a couple of years ago, like that stuff scared the shit out of me, because I hate, one, not being in control as much as I drink beer, and that's an inhibitor. But that kind of stuff scares me. So when we can get into alternative medicine that does not involve, technically going around the words of uppers and downers, and people can do better, feel better, and act better, especially as something, as you guys mentioned, as tragic as Alzheimer's is, it's one of those really serious diseases that I hope in our lifetime we're able to figure something out, because it is, as bad as it is for the folks. And when I worked at Toast, I worked in a lot of memory care facilities because we dealt with a lot of restaurants inside senior living facilities. And those are the kinds of things to where you just don't understand what's going on. And those people are under fucking paid for what they do and deal with over there. So
that's for sure.
You know, it's one of those diseases that I would love to see, you know, foods, culture, ideas that can help us get away from it as we grow older. And two, for those who are currently suffering from it, ways to give them peace of mind more than anything. So if it's, honest to God, if it's, if chugging Labatt Blue gave them reprieve from their Alzheimer's, God damn it, I'd be showing up to memory care facilities with cases of Labatt Blue going, let's go party, folks. But for right now, the hop plant, obviously the hop plant is a sister plant, I believe, of the weed plant anyways. So there's probably a lot to look into within both hops as well as, you know, potentially marijuana for these folks.
Well, for me, nothing really more I can add to that. I mean, wrap it up, throw it in a drink.
I'm sorry, guys. I get on my high horse and I talk a lot, and then you're just like, I got nothing else to add.
Well, it is your
Hey, it's
folks, I did not say that. I did not say that. I did not say this was my show. This is our show. We are a collective. Did not say that was Wendy. That was Wendy.
We're the Better on Draft committee.
Totally had to throw that in there. Sorry.
That's fine. We've talked about it a handful of times. I think we've even tried to get the one of the guys who does this all the time on the show because he lives over in Windsor. But every year the beer mile exists. This year it was in Belgium. And they made a big change. And the big change for this was that they went from any beer to canned beer. And they couldn't do bottles anymore. So I'm assuming at some point they were maybe doing the twister, like the funnel for craft beer, or for beer itself, not craft beer, to drink it, because it took an extra almost 45 seconds to for this race this year. So my question to you guys is, I'm sure we're all extremely athletic and can run a mile in at least under 20 minutes, hopefully. If you had to drink 4 12-ounce beers as fast as possible, what would you choose for your beer mile for November 2022? What is the beer that's going to go down the fastest, go down the quickest? You got to drink it 4 times, one every quarter mile. Anyone want to throw up? It got to be in a can, though. Can't be in a bottle.
I like.
So, I'll take Miller Lite, I think. I don't know. I think, especially if I'm running.
Let's select 55. Because if I got to run a mile and I have to drink it, I'm going to drink it and I'm going to go finish this mile as fast as I can. I think that would actually be like that motivation to push me through, because I'd be like, I have to drink this, the what's considered the worst beer in the world. I'm going to get, because if I'm going to drink something I'm going to like, I'm going to take too much time. I want to drink something that I just got to down and get rid of and just keep going.
Is there a time limit on this beer mile? I'm not.
Well, I mean,
sure
the goal is to do it the fastest.
Well,
you basically,
of course,
you chug
my goal is to finish, not be the fastest.
So you chug a 12-ounce beer. You got to run a quarter mile, chug a 12-ounce beer, repeat that until you run a mile.
There's usually not much of a time limit. It basically it's like running a turkey trot before the Thanksgiving parade. Everybody starts roughly at around 6:30 in the morning. As long as everyone is off the course by like 9, then you're good.
Wendy, did you give us a beer?
I'm horrible at chugging anyways, because I don't have a uvula. And like, I had a surgery when I was younger, and they took the uvula. So that little dangly thing in the back of your throat that keeps stuff from going into your nose, I don't have one. So when I chug, sometimes it literally will come out my nose.
Oh.
Which is very uncomfortable, so it doesn't happen very often.
Today I learned. Honestly, like, I was thinking about it, and for a second I'm like, Killian's, and I'm like, when have I ever seen a can of Killian's?
I don't think they have canned.
Yeah, I've never seen.
So I was like, maybe I'll do, and then I'm like, well, maybe Amberbach, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a can of Amberbach either. So
You know what I would not use?
what's that?
Blapple.
Blapple?
The Busch Light Apple is the most carbonated beer I have ever tried. I couldn't even pretend to chug it.
That's what I think about. So for those of you who we're at the end of the show anyway, so it's going to be a stupid little anecdote. But every year I used to go to QuakeCon. I still do if it ever exists in person. And if you guys remember the old, before there was 1,000 Monsters and Red Bulls and stuff, there was an energy drink called Balls. And they would have a energy drink chugging competition that I've actually won 5 times. But a few years ago, I'm like, I was on keto. Bingo square. And I was like, oh, can I do the sugar free? And they're like, sure. And all of us that did the sugar free realized it was so overly carbonated versus the regular can. So it was just like, I didn't even think about that. And I didn't even rethink about that until you mentioned it. For me, I'm going to go probably with Yingling Amber. Or Yingling Black and Tan. Like, that stuff is just so smooth and easy to drink.
Yeah.
Or you know what? If I can even do 14-ounce cans, Guinness. I'll do 2 extra ounces over everyone. Give me 4 14-ounce cans of or 14.2-ounce cans of Guinness. Before we go, I've talked about it on the show a bunch of times. You all got one and it all sucked. We all know it sucked. I've told the person who's made it sucked. But I have the brand new draft top.
Oh, God.
Now, this new draft top is supposed to be super, super good. And I'm going to test it on camera because why not do it live? But as I'm doing it live, let's go over all the social medias. That's Better on Draft on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch. What else are we on? BetterOnDraft.com. Basically, all social medias are Better on Draft. Find out everything that we drank on Untapped. You can friend us, Better on Draft. But let's see if it worked. I think I can. I don't know if I want to lift it up, but just like that, we have a working draft top, folks.
Oh my God.
This was a
Nice.
solid buy. You didn't see me shrug. Remember those early episodes of Better on Draft where I'm like,
Where
just like
crushing the can.
Yeah. Because I'm holding both, like I'm trying to hold the can in place. But this is a, as I will tip the camera, full can of beer. So I did pre-crack it though, because I wasn't gonna try to maybe open it when it was like shaken up or something like that. So that's gonna do it. Better on Draft podcast. We will be back next week with Pilsnerish, and then we will be off live because we'll be at 4 Elf Day over at Dark Horse / Roke. Come say hi to us, and no matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Thank you so much, Jonathan, in the chat. For saying Guinness, best chugging beer and surprisingly light. I agree. Have a good night.
Peace.